Today we're going to be talking about this Oupes Exodus 1200 portable power station. And we're not just going to be talking about it, we're actually going to be doing some testing to see what this thing can actually handle. So this power station is equipped with a 1200 watt continuous or 1500 watt boost, rear sine wave inverter. I'm not really sure what the boost function is. We're gonna have to look into that to see what that's about. It is a 992 watt hour lithium iron phosphate battery, so we should get a ton of cycling life and durability out of it. It weighs 23 pounds. It can charge with 600 watts of AC power, 240 watts of solar with a combined power of 840 watts. It has a UPS function. It also has an app control. And right now you can buy this thing for 250 bucks on their website after their discount coupon. It's kind of weird because they advertise it as 500 and some change, but they say it's $300 off. So I think the real price of this unit is 250 bucks. They're just doing some weird marketing with the pricing. So if this thing really costs 250 bucks, we're gonna see if it's actually worth it and do a lot of testing in this video. Once we're done testing this thing, I actually wanna tear it down and open it up to see what the build quality looks like. And I also wanna check over how the battery cells look. Also included with the power station, you get the user manual, you get your AC charging cord, and you get a DC cigarette lighter style charging cord. But the one cord I don't see, and I'm kind of disappointed about, is there's no solar harness to connect this thing straight to a solar panel. This can take a solar panel up to 30 volts max and up to 240 watts, but it doesn't come with the cord. Normally these come with a separate cord that has the MC4s on it, but it looks like you're gonna either have to use an adapter or buy the cord separately. Taking a closer look at the unit, we have our front panel here. We have three 20 amp style 120 volt outlets. We have a nice LCD screen. Let's go ahead and kick this thing on. Looks like we have to hold the button. There we go. Here's some fans kicking on. It was shipped to us with 64%, which is totally fine for storage. We have a quick charge 3.0 USB port here. We have two PD 140 watt Type-C USB ports here. That's for running like a laptop or something. And then another USB port as well. We have our AC output switch here, IoT output switch here, which I'm not really sure what that is. Okay, that's gonna be for our Bluetooth and Wi-Fi setup when we go to connect this thing to the app. And then we have our DC output right here, which is gonna turn on all these outlets, as well as this 12 volt outlet that we also get right here. The DC 12 volt outlet is rated at 10 amp. We also have two jack style outlets right here. Go ahead and turn the AC output on. The AC output on, it shows us our watts being used. It shows us our approximate runtime, 120 volts, 60 hertz. The screen looks really nice. The feel of this thing does feel nice. It feels very well put together and a very refined packaging. Taking a closer look at this side, we have our solar input as well as our 12 volt cigarette style plug input as well. So you can plug this into your car to charge it, or you can use it to connect a solar panel. This is gonna be where we're gonna connect our AC charging cord, and it appears to be just a standard charging cord, nothing fancy there. Then we also have an overload breaker. There's also a grill right here. This is gonna be one of the intakes, I assume, for one of the cooling fans. On the back side here, you have this really nice and convenient carrying handle. You can pick this thing up with one hand. It only weighs 23 pounds. Here's the other side, nothing really going on, just another vent in order to help keep the unit cool. The top right here, it's gonna show you how to get the Oupes app. Nothing going on. It's nice and flat, so you can put charging devices up here. And then here's the bottom of the unit, so you get another spec sticker. This has all the extra specs on it in case you need to reference those again. All right, now we're gonna go ahead and get this thing fully charged so we can test the capacity of the unit. I'm gonna go ahead and turn everything off and just see how it behaves when we connect power. Now I'm gonna connect our AC input on the side here. And apparently you can switch the charging power between 300 watts or 600 watts, but I don't see how to do that. I don't see a switch that some of these have. So you may need to do that in the app itself. I don't think there's an actual way to do it without connecting with the app. And yeah, it looks like we're not gonna be able to get above 300 watts. So I'm gonna go ahead and download the app off the App Store. That's what the app looks like. So I'm gonna go ahead and get the app downloaded. I'm sure I'm gonna have to create an account. Actually, I just checked the manual, and if you guys look, the way you switch between fast and slow charging is you have to use the little button right here. So it says here you hold it for 3 to 5 seconds. Maybe you gotta turn it on. So the word set flashes on the screen. Then you can choose L for 300 watts or H for 600. Slow charging is recommended for regular use. Not working. All we gotta do is hold both of these for 3 to 5 seconds. L for 300, H for 600. It's already set to H. Actually, I checked up here again and it says it's only going to fast charge when the battery is under 20%. I mean, I can understand that, wanting to slow charge the battery. You do get more cycles out of the battery without stressing it out as much, but 600 watts isn't even 1C on this battery because it is a 992 watt hour battery, which means if we charge this at 992 watts, that would actually be 1C. So we're still below 1C, and charging the battery at 1C should not really hurt the life of the battery that much. And you definitely have to create an account in order to use the app control. And now I'm gonna go ahead and try to connect it to our power station. I went ahead and held this button right here, and it should pick it up. Turned on, press the... I'm having no luck getting this thing to connect to my phone, so that's a problem. We're just gonna come back to this. We're gonna continue to just charge this thing, and I'm gonna mess with that later. If I can get that to work, I will show you guys the app. If not, it's gonna be a negative tally against this thing. And I've heard really good thing about Oupes. I really do expect this thing to be quite good, even if it is one of their lower end budget units. There's no timer telling me how long it's gonna take to fully charge it. I mean, yeah, it's at 67%. You can do a little bit of math and figure it out yourself, but I really like when they put the time until full. So if you're listening to this, add that please. I'm sure me and everyone else would appreciate it. Claimed battery capacity of this unit is 992 watt hours, but we're gonna find out in this test how much of that is actually usable by the time you have losses through the inverter and all that. What do you actually get out of it with an AC load? So we have a kilowatt hour meter right here that's been reset. The unit is fully charged. We're gonna put this 100 watt battery charger as our load, and I'm gonna let this thing run until it completely shuts off. So we're gonna go and turn the AC output on. Our kilowatt hour meter just kicked on, and I did go ahead and reset everything. So we have kilowatt hours displayed right here, and it's all zeroed out. So by the end of the test, when this thing shuts off, I'm gonna turn this back on, and it's gonna save exactly what we get out of it. And there we go, we're pulling about 150 watts. And we have 148 watts on the meter, 148 watts displayed, indicated on our display. So that's really it. We're gonna let this thing run until it shuts off and see what we get. All right, the test is finished running. The power unit has completely shut down, so I'm gonna go ahead and connect power to it so it turns back on. So we can see we're at 0%. I'm gonna go ahead and turn the AC output on, so it should go into bypass mode, or UPS mode as they say. So at 992 watt hours, we were able to use 834. So that's pretty dang good. That's close to what, 90% of the rated capacity. So minus the losses in the inverter, that's really not bad. That means the inverter is around 90% efficient. Now we're gonna run our overnight fridge test with our Oupes power station. This test does two things. It shows us how long we can run a standard fridge door refrigerator, and it's also gonna make sure that the unit's not gonna turn off on its own if the power consumption goes to 0. Because what can happen with some power stations is if there's no current draw on the AC side from the inverter, the unit will actually shut down. And sometimes a fridge can be in a state to where it's not really pulling anything. So we're gonna get this thing connected up. Go ahead and turn the AC on. And right now we're only drawing 16 watts, but as you guys can see, we got a fridge light. So far everything's working great. It's currently 7:49 p.m. So we're gonna check on this in the morning and see how much we have left. And it is fully charged. And as far as use case scenarios, I think this would be the best use case scenario to use one of these power stations for most people. If you lose power or you need to power your fridge, I think that's the most important appliance that most people are gonna wanna run. If you can able to run it for at least, 10 to 12 hours using just one of these small power stations, I think you'll be in a lot better shape than most. Plus, you can also add solar to this during the day and charge it up with solar. And we are gonna be testing the solar as well in this video. Update on the fridge test that we're running on this Oupes power station. When I got up the next morning, the fridge was actually turned off, so I'm not exactly sure how long it was able to run it. So I'm gonna redo the test again during the day so I can monitor it a little bit better. 3:37 p.m. I'm gonna try to do my best to actually monitor it and see when it actually cuts off. I strongly suspect we would get at least 8 to 10 hours, but we're gonna try to verify that. Now, almost 9 o'clock, the power station has 55% battery remaining, so I think maybe this thing could run the fridge for 12 hours. I think the reason the first test I did didn't go really that good is the refrigerator may have went into defrost mode. When your fridge goes into defrost mode, it activates a resistive heating element, and that heating element pulls a ton of power. So if that happened to happen, whenever I plugged this thing in and ran it all night, that thing could easily exhaust this battery in 1 hour. Now, obviously the heater doesn't run that long, but even if it ran for 10 minutes, it would use a drastic amount of power. In this second test, we're definitely getting a lot better results. And the performance of the fridge has been literally perfect. Cannot tell the difference at all that we're running it on this versus just plugged in. Although to be fair, my fridge is always running on battery power. All right, final update on running my fridge with this power station. Unfortunately, I had a lot more footage I recorded after the first half of the test when I was able to run the fridge for 5 hours and we only used about 45% of the battery. But all the footage I had after that got corrupted. But basically, with all the data that I gathered from that test, you'd be able to run your fridge for 8 to 10 hours. I would plan for 8, but you might get 10. That should be plenty of run time to get you through the night and keep your food nice and cold. Anyways, let's move on to the next test. All right, I went ahead and hooked up our Oupes power station to an oscilloscope. So I have the probes inside the outlet right there. And this is gonna be able to show us the waveform coming out of the inverter. And as you guys can see, it's a very clean sine wave, which is what we wanna see. We have very nice, smooth transitions between the peaks and the valleys. You don't want to see a nasty jagged wave because otherwise you're going to have noisy power. So this actually looks pretty good because I always get a ton of people asking me to check the power quality coming out of these power stations. So now I finally have a way to do that. And if we look a little bit closer, we can actually measure the RMS, which is kind of the true voltage you're getting. And as you guys can see, we have 121.5 volts. That's also really good to see. And our frequency is also pretty much perfect. We're at 60.02 Hertz. And this oscilloscope equipment we're using is extremely sensitive. So I do very much trust this data. Pretty much same test as before, but now I added a load to it because sometimes what you plug into it can affect the output of your inverter or power setup, and the results are the exact same. So we have the same voltage same frequency. The form of the wave looks just as good as it did with no load. It's a nice sunny day, and I wanted to demonstrate the Oupes charging with solar. Now, unfortunately, out of the box, this doesn't come with a solar charging cable, and the connection to hook up a solar panel. A lot of the other power stations are using XT60s, which makes it very easy to get a solar panel harness, but this one uses a jack style plug. So you either have to use an adapter to go from the 12-volt cigarette lighter plug that this comes with to some MC4s, but what I'm gonna do is I just cut off the 12-volt adapter, the cigarette car adapter, because I never use that, and I'm just gonna wire the solar panel directly to this. Now keep in mind, you can only go up to 30 volts with this unit, so that's not a lot, but we're gonna be able to hook up at least one panel, and behind me I have some 180 watt panels, so I'm just gonna take the output out of one of those, connect it to this unit, and just make sure it can actually solar charge. All right, this is really hard to see because there's a lot of glare, but you can see our input right here. It's very slowly climbing up, so it does seem like it kind of takes a little while for this thing to find the MPPT or multiple PowerPoint tracking of the panel that you have plugged in, but it is very slowly going up. Now, this panel on a good day will make at least 150 watts. It definitely make over that, but the bare minimum I've seen was 150, so I'm hoping this will read at least 150. All right, guys, hard to see, sorry, but it's making 162 watts, so that's not bad. At 162 watts, it'd probably take, if this was completely dead, about 6 hours if I had to guess. Now I'm gonna connect a 1000 watt battery charger to this thing, which is almost maxing out the input, and I'm gonna let it run it down all the way to 0 just to make sure this thing doesn't thermally shut down. So everything's turned on, the unit's charged up to 100%. We're gonna turn the AC output on. And there we go, we're at 998 watts. We're gonna run it until the battery is completely at 0%, so we're gonna see what happens. The power station test just finished. We have 4% left, but we're giving an error of E2. And I just looked it up. E2 apparently means the battery voltage is too low. So this thing is pretty much dead, even though it shows 4% left. But the unit never overheated, never shut off. It only shut off there toward the end when it was pretty much dead. Now I want to see if this thing can run a large inductive load like tools and things like that. So I have this Harbor Freight Fortress compressor with a pretty large induction motor. Now the running watts of this compressor is about 600 to 700 watts, but the starting surge is what makes this test pretty hard on inverters. Let's see what it does. Seems to be running it just fine. We are building pressure. The cooling fans just kicked on. All right, I'm gonna kick it back on after it was just running. Yeah, it doesn't seem to have a problem running this thing. Now I went ahead and plugged in one of these mini splits to this Oupes power station. So I want to see if this thing can run the mini split in case I lost power or I wanted to cool the house down on a really hot summer day and my batteries for the house were dead. Could this do it in a pinch? So this extension cord here runs up to another cord that then connects to the unit. We're at 100% state of charge. What's nice about this mini split is it has Wi-Fi control. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this thing on. Just heard it click on the inside. We're going to set it to 77 degrees. And there we go, starting right up. Kind of hard to see the screen out here because of the glare, but you can see the power ramping up. Fans on the unit just kicked on. Oh yeah, this thing's running great. And what's nice about mini split ACs versus non-inverter style ACs is this thing can vary the power draw that it uses. So as you guys can see, it's cooling pretty good and we're only using 500 watts. So let's go on the inside and see how the air coming out of the unit feels. All right, we're already getting some cold air coming out of this thing. That's pretty cool. Now I would like to try the same test with a standard window AC unit because I feel like a lot more people have those, but I really don't have one just yet to test, but I am trying to get one. But it's still pretty cool that you can run a mini split AC system off of just one small power station just like this. And at the rate that the unit's running right now, it's not crazy hot outside, but we'd be able to run this thing for about 2 hours, which is pretty good. So I'm gonna let this thing run probably for about 30 or 45 minutes just to make sure nothing cuts off or nothing weird happens. Well, this thing's been running now for about 45 minutes. We still have 64% state of charge remaining. We're only using about 315 watts. So now we're gonna go ahead and take this thing inside and actually take this thing apart and see what the inside of the unit looks like. Midnight, oh midnight. Now we're gonna open this thing up and see what's inside. All right, looks like it just comes apart like a clamshell, so that makes it very easy. Here's kind of a first good look of the unit. And I don't think I mentioned before, but this is a 32 volt battery. In fact, it says right here, 32 volt, 31 amp hour. So it is not a 48 volt platform like some other power stations use. I don't really see any identifying markings on the cells, but there are these little stickers here. So maybe if anybody knows what that means, they can drop a comment. But they do appear to be nice cylindrical cells. And the cells themselves are affixed together using like a clamshell method where you have a bottom plate here, top plate here with these long screws to kind of compress them all. You can see a main terminal right there, big old bus bar. This to me looks a lot like a BMS. So it looks like we have some balancing wires here. We have some, maybe a communication wire here. There's a temp sensor wire there. Oh yeah, bat negative, bat positive. And that goes to this XT90 connector right there on the top of this board. And that goes into kind of the main board of the unit where the inverter and the charge controller and everything else sits. We see this little piece of plastic here that helps direct airflow. There's our 2 cooling fans. Throughout all the testing, the fans were relatively quiet, I would say. They weren't super loud. but they did appear to be very effective. We never overheated anything. I'm gonna try to get the other side off so we can see the other side of the unit and then have the bare unit out of the case. So after further looking at this thing, it's gonna be very difficult to get the rest of this case off. And that's gonna be mainly because all the other components right here, the screen and everything, all has wires running to it, and we would have to completely probably disassemble this entire front panel. I don't see an easy way to do that, and I don't want to destroy this thing. I did, however, pull this little plastic guy up so we can see kind of a better look at the inverter. I assume this is all inverter circuitry, the way it looks. And yeah, I don't see nothing crazy. Let me know what you guys think in the comments of the build quality from what we can see. All right, guys, that's gonna wrap up testing this Oupes power station. Now, the power station did perform really good, but I did have a few complaints. The app was very difficult to get to use, and I didn't have any luck getting it to connect. The charging speed of this unit is very slow. Now, they have the up to 500 or 600 watt limit, but the battery's gotta be below a certain percentage for that to work. And then it also doesn't tell you how much time to fully charge. It does tell you how much runtime you have, whatever you plug into it, which is totally fine. But a lot of other power stations that we've been testing lately, they have basically a timer to tell you both. So I think they should add that. That way, whenever you're charging this with like a solar panel, for example, you know exactly how long you need to leave this thing outside in order to fully charge. You do have a rather low charging voltage of 30 volts for solar. That's not very uncommon, but there are a lot of units that are doing 50 volts now. So also something I think they could improve on is up the voltage a little bit of that. However, other than that, the inverter appears to be high quality. The battery cells looked good. The build quality looked pretty good. And all the testing we did, it did perform as advertised. And I think for the price of these units, which are, you know, below 300 bucks, it's a pretty good value. You get a nice screen, you get multiple plugs. It's lithium iron phosphate chemistry, so you should be able to get a ton of cycling life out of this thing. Let me know what y'all think about this unit, and let me know what you guys think about all the testing we put this through. If there's anything specific you guys think I should have done with this thing, please let me know in the comments. If you're using any Oupes power stations, let me know about maybe some of the bigger models. What kind of luck are you guys having with those? And if you guys are having issues with this unit specifically, please let me know if there's anything that I can retest and recheck. But that's gonna be it, guys. Let me know what y'all think in the comments. I'll be there answering as many as I can. I will put links to this down in the description if you wanna go check it out for yourself, and I will see you guys in the next one.